So, to start this episode, clearly we should just listen to Barbie Girl.
I'm a Barbie girl
In a Barbie world.
It's fantastic. Something else.
Life and plastic, it's
that
fantastic.
song is really more of a commentary on society. Back off.
Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and over there's Brandon.
That's me.
You can find us online at namely90s.com or on Instagram and Threads at namely90s with the 90s. You can also find the show on YouTube every Monday at youtube.com/@namely90s. And finally, if you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/namely90s, also with the 90s, and get signed up for one of our support levels. That was tight.
Tight.
High and tight.
If one of our listeners has an invitation for Blue Sky, toss it our way, because Threads kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And it's a meta property, so it's like it's a Facebook, Instagram property already, so it just doesn't flow as well.
Facebookstagram.
Exactly.
It also begs the question of still why? Like, why did Twitter ever exist, and why does this now exist?
Especially since they're trying to make it so like shit posting's not a thing. So it's like no profanity or I think you do profanity. There's no nudity. There's no more, I don't know, blue collar subjects. Which doesn't make
conservatives.
Yeah. And you can kind of like curtail your feed to what you want it to be. I don't know if I used curtail correctly there. You can, because I was looking for curate. That was the word. You can curate your feed to what you want it to be. And it's kind of just like...
You said Keurig.
Keurig, yes.
It's all just Keurig advertisements.
Which, speaking of advertisements, it finally worked. I now have a 12-pack of Mountain Dew Major Melon.
I hope one of the things that's hard-coded into Threads, by the way, is that you can't put the American flag emoji in your screen name. Because I never know what that means. Like, are you actually a patriot, or are you just an effing douche?
I don't know if because the @ symbol or the thread, like your unique key is just a string of numbers. So
I like this.
Yes, but then you, again, like on Twitter, you can have your name. So we're at Namely 90s at Threads, but it's also like we're at some numerical designation, which I don't know what it is because I can't see it from my profile.
The symbol is shaped like Homer Simpson's ear.
Yes, that was pretty good. Because the Homer's like hairline and ear do an MG, but
for Matt, is it groaning?
Groaning. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good episode.
All right, and let's wrap it up. Well, listen, I could do a whole set on air travel, but I won't bore you.
Yeah, again. Well, because it's been about 2 weeks since we recorded last.
Yeah, I know.
Week and a half, 2 weeks.
I've been in Arizona. I left I was at work and I left the building at 10 p.m. I walked outside. It was 101 degrees.
That's hot.
That's hot. That's
hot.
101.
Should we just become shock jocks? Should we just now have like a board where it's like, that's hot?
Bazinga.
No.
Yeah. I walked outside and I just walked into a wall of heat.
Mm-hmm.
Those people are like, oh, actually, you always get that loser. He's like, hey, actually, the desert's really cold at night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it can be, but it sure as hell wasn't that night.
Not in the summer. Yeah. I I don't envy you having to work in Arizona for a while. Like having visited family twice out there, like who have air conditioning. It's like walking out the door. It's just like, why does it feel like I've suddenly entered a furnace?
That makes you wonder why old people move there. Like, don't they get heat stroke more than anybody else?
Correct, but they also can afford AC in Arizona, but not water.
Yeah, but aren't they all golfing all the time?
True. Yeah. No, my uncle's out golfing a lot.
Like, is there anything that gives you more sun exposure than golfing?
Sun tanning.
Okay, well.
But no, I see what you're saying. Any activity that's not directly related to getting sun exposure is, no. And the fact that they keep their greens like well watered, like there's no regulation to the water in Arizona.
They're starting to regulate it. Anyone that's building new homes in Phoenix has to like prove that there's a water supply.
Oh yeah, I saw that for Tucson as well, I believe, because. I think it's Tucson where they're like, some of the suburbs aren't getting water this year because.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I feel guilty when I take a shower there.
Use it all because you won't be there long.
True. Yeah, suckers.
Yeah.
Just leave the shower on all day. Just go to work. No. We're more environmentally conscious than that.
Put the do not disturb thing on your door.
Oh, I saw a guy. I was driving on the freeway and the guy in front of me just like threw a receipt out of his window or some piece of paper. I'm like, that person is just they're the dregs of society, you know? Like someone who just thinks that that's okay. I think they should just be eliminated, honestly.
I mean, I agree, but it also brings me back to a story that your wife has told me many of times about her own family. And I don't know if I should share that here.
Oh, like flinging
the McDonald's. Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know the story you're talking about. Hold on.
Well, I'm pretty sure. Okay. Just in case we cut this, I'm pretty sure she was the one that was like, oh yeah, you just drive down the road and throw the McDonald's wrapper out the window.
No.
Yeah, no. Ask her. I swear to God.
I remember
she said her dad
used to. My dad would throw an apple core out the window because what a dad thing to do. Eat a whole apple while driving.
Yeah.
And he would fling it out the window. He's like, it'll biodegrade. And I'm like, that's true.
I swear.
The type of person who just would think, I'm going to throw this thing, this garbage out the window. Yeah. Like, you just have nothing to offer society. You know who thinks that that's okay or doesn't think about it? Crazy. He's a total a-hole.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what my tax dollars are going to, bro.
That's chaotic evil, you know?
Yes. Or I mean, I could see how you can get it to lawful evil. No, I guess it's because it's against the law. Fair. Or sociopathic. Let's see. We've been gone since June. This is now.
I know.
Yeah. How's your 4th? Did you do anything? Were you working?
No, I actually got the 4th off this year.
Nice.
Which was great. Just went up to my parents. Didn't do any fireworks because they were in the middle of the woods, which are like a tinderbox this time of year. Mm-hmm. I just kind of hung out.
Yeah, there was a wildfire started by fireworks just like a couple cities south of us in Oregon.
Perfect.
Yep. Well, we shoot them off on the beach and out over the water. So
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
You're just killing all those native, water species.
Yeah. We don't shoot it into the water. We shoot it above. Well, technically it's not even above the water. But yeah, that was, so the last few years that we've been there, there's been these teenagers at this house, and it's just it keeps escalating every year. They keep getting illegal fireworks and then doing stupid stuff. I think it was last year. They're like, oh, let's just park in front of all the people that are already on the beach and just shoot it off from where we everyone is.
Yeah.
And then or that was a couple years ago, and then 1 year an ember landed on my aunt who, while we were from their fireworks, because they weren't far enough away from everyone else, which everyone else walks far away from everyone, shoots it off.
Were you with me the time I was at Gateway, and someone like lit off one of those mortar shells in the middle of the football field, just like and then ran.
No.
And like it shot so far out, like almost killed the people. It's like, why would you do that? Because it's a big spread in the sky, so if you light off on the ground,
right,
it's gonna be intense.
For those of you that don't know, our former middle school, the middle of the field is below the level of surface of everything else. So
yeah, true.
It probably exploded at the height of the building.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't remember when I was there. It was daytime too. It wasn't nighttime. Yeah. So
just to finish the story, that same group of kids threw a giant rager this year, one of their neighbors came down like just plastered trying to yell at them, but he just like fell into the sand and he just kept falling into the sand, and then he just gave up and tried to go up the stairs, fell on the stairs, and just like, this guy's like 70 something. I'm like, he is going to kill himself. That's
funny. Kayla was going to do parasailing when we were in Hawaii. And so we were standing there on the beach, like getting registered. I'm just literally standing still in the sand and just fell on my ass. You guys are like, I'm like, just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I have a good sense of balance when I'm in the air.
But yeah, well, I'm excited for a couple of movies coming out. What about you? We went to a movie last week or whatever, our anniversary. We went to a movie. That was kind of fun because we have like the theater with the reclining seats and it's an AMC. It's an AMC Lowe's Home Depot.
It's gonna be soon.
So like we got in, we got our popcorn. Like I ate light so I could have popcorn in the slushie, and
the slushie.
Made my popcorn up, put the butter in it, sat down. Figured out halfway through the movie there was a hole in the popcorn bag.
No,
and both my shirt and pants got ruined with grease stains.
That sucks.
And like the fattest woman was next to me, just right next to me, and making a bunch of noises and like cursing and like being on her phone. So annoying. But anyway, I still enjoyed my trip to the cinema. We saw The Little Mermaid.
Oh, I didn't realize that was a theatrical release.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, but I'm really excited to see this Oppenheimer movie. It looks pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if I can see it in IMAX without throwing up, but
does it look cool?
It looks pretty good.
Mm.
It's historical fiction. Okay. Inspired by a true story.
Yeah.
But I believe there's another movie coming out soon too.
Yes. Is this a segue? Should I? Mm-hmm. Yes, the Barbie
lean
movie.
Forward into the segue and start.
The Barbie movie is coming out, which listening to Gaz and Dange do a quote from last week, and they're like, they've inspired us. We should also be focusing on toys and shows and whatever from the 80s and 90s that aren't just targeted towards boys, but also girls. And so we inspired another podcast to be more I don't know what the word is, into girl stuff.
That's good, isn't it?
Hi guys. Anyway, we're gonna take a deep dive into Barbie for the Barbie movie, which admittedly looks interesting, but also it doesn't look like it's designed for the target audience of people who play with Barbies. It's a PG-13 movie. And just from the trailers, there's so many like obvious innuendos that your children may get if they understood what the innuendos were about. But regardless, let's deep dive into Barbie of the 90s. But to learn about the Barbie of the 90s, we're gonna have to travel even further back to the history of the Barbie, which is a fashion doll manufactured by American toy company Mattel Inc., which launched the toy in March of 1959. They credit Ruth Handler as the creator of the doll.
This is Chelsea Handler's great-great-grandmother. Is that right?
Possibly. And she's based on a German doll called the Bild Lily as her, which she credits as her inspiration. As the story goes, Ruth watched her daughter Barbara play with paper dolls and noticed that she often enjoyed giving them adult roles. At the time, most children's toy dolls were just like baby dolls. And realizing that there was a gap in the market, she suggested the idea of an adult-bodied female doll to her husband, Elliot, who is the co-founder of Mattel Toy Company.
Imagine that. What a coincidence.
Yes. And also a coincidence, or like, imagine this. A man in the 1950s was unenthusiastic about the idea, as were the directors of Mattel.
That's because a woman came up with it. That's why.
I mean, I would also say that it was a feminine product, so they did not care. During the trip to Europe in 1956, her children, Barbara and Kenneth, Ruth came across a German toy doll, which the Bild Lily. It was an adult figure doll, which had she was a blonde bombshell, a working girl who knew what she wanted, but was not above using men to get it.
So you mean working girl as in sex worker, or
in fact, no,
works in the workplace? Okay, yes. We said working girl.
Well, so it was based on a German comic strip character. She bought 3, gave 1 to her daughter, and took the others back to Mattel. Initially, the Lily doll was sold in Germany to adults. It became popular with children who enjoyed dressing her up in outfits that were available separately.
Was there like a Third Reich Lily that you could buy?
1950s.
Still.
Yeah. Upon her return to the United States, Ruth, that was her name, yes, redesigned the doll with the help of local inventor designer Jack Ryan of the
Tom Clancy character.
Yeah, exactly.
Jack Ryan.
And they gave the new name Barbie after Handler's daughter Barbara. The doll made its debut at the American International Toy Fair in New York in March of 1959, which is March 9th, 1959, and that is Barbie's official birthday. So, the first Barbie doll wore black and white zebra-striped swimsuits and had a signature top-knot ponytail and was available as either a blonde or brunette. The doll was marketed as a, quote, teenage fashion model with her clothes created by Mattel fashion designer Charlotte Johnson. The first dolls were manufactured in Japan, with the clothes being hand-stitched by Japanese homeworkers. And
remember when the Japanese still made toys and not just only the Chinese?
Right, and electronics, yep. Around 350,000 Barbie dolls were sold during the first year of production, and Ruth believed that it was important for Barbie to have an adult appearance, and early market research showed that some parents were unhappy about the doll's chest, which had distinct breasts.
Better than indistinct breasts, I suppose.
Oh, I think that's what they're
like. They're still there, but indistinct, like a uniboob.
I was going to say more. I was thinking more along the lines of flat-chested, but okay.
Oh God, the horror!
Yes, Barbie's appearance had been changed many times, most notably in 1971 when the doll's eyes were adjusted to look forward rather than the side-eye glance it had since it was incepted. This would be the last adjustment Ruth would make to her own creation, as 3 years later, she and her husband Elliot were removed from their posts at Mattel after an investigation found them guilty of issuing false and misleading financial reports. What a ride. What a ride.
Yeah.
According to Mattel, Barbie Millicent Roberts, that's her full name, has had over 200 careers. And since we're a 90s podcast, from the years 1990 to 1999, she was a figure skater, restaurant owner, singer, ballroom dancer, chef, school teacher, United States Air Force pilot, United States Marine Corps sergeant, United States Navy petty officer QM1, beach snack stand worker, business executive, cheerleader, fashion designer, rapper, rockette, supermarket cashier, United States Army officer, United States presidential candidate, veterinarian, Army medic, baseball player, doctor, firefighter, gymnast, Jill LaRue, police officer, school teacher, United Air Force, Thunderbirds pilot, veterinarian.
Again.
Did I say that? Again. Actress, astronaut, country western singer, lifeguard, McDonald's cashier, pet groomer, scuba diver, African safari guide, ballerina, chef, circus performer, doctor, elementary school teacher, fashion designer, firefighter, nurse, Olympic gymnast, pediatrician, pilot, singer, superhero, chef again, doctor, figure skater, paleontologist, Palmer's clothing store employee, pediatrician, shopkeeper, singer, Starfleet security officer, that's Star Trek, astronaut, country western singer again, cowgirl, dentist, elementary school teacher, Japan Airlines flight attendant, Olympic figure skater, pilot, preschool teacher, tennis player, bake shop worker, carriage driver, country western singer for a third time, ice cream shop worker, MLB player, NASCAR driver, NBA player, rock star, soccer player, soda fountain waitress, WNBA player, actress, Avon representative, business executive, country western singer for a fourth time, detective, fashion trend forecaster, florist, matador, NASCAR driver, outdoor beauty store worker, pilot, rock star, sees candies cashier, sign language teacher, soccer player, and tour guide.
And white supremacist. What?
That was the 1950s. Yes. But of course, Barbie can't exist in her world alone, so let's introduce some of her friends and family. Of course, there's Kenneth Ken Carson. That is Ken.
Okay, I'm
Barbie.
sorry.
Yes.
If your name is Kenneth, you don't have to put Ken in quotes.
That's his nickname.
That's just the short version of Ken. Like,
I mean, Barbie's the short version of Barb, and they have that one.
If I went by Andrew, I wouldn't then put in parentheses Andy. If I went by Andy, I would not put in parentheses Andy. Like, that's a known nickname. I think you need the quotes if your nickname is not a known shortened version of your name.
So, like, Dick gets a pass for Richard and all that jazz?
Yes.
Okay. So Barbie's boyfriend, Kenneth Sean Carson, and the second character was introduced to the line in 1961. We learned that her parents' names are George and Margaret, which was introduced in the 1960s book, but had never been made into dolls. She has siblings and cousins, including Skipper, introduced in 1964, who was originally around age 8, but became her oldest younger sister at age 14 sometime later. She had the twins, Tootie and Todd, younger siblings introduced in 1965 with seamless bendy bodies, Tootie getting discontinued in 1971. And we also have Jazzy, her cousin, first introduced in 1988. She was high school age, taller than other cousin from England, Francie Fairchild, who was introduced in 1966. And we have her female best friends, because, she needs friends. We got Margaret Midge Hadley Sherwood, who was introduced in 1963, and the third in the Barbie line, who's then paired with Ken's best friend, Alan. Her friend Christy was introduced in 1968, who was the first African-American friend. Teresa Rivers was introduced in 1988, who became her main Hispanic bestie.
Which implies that she has multiple Hispanic besties?
Yes. There are a lot of Barbies.
By the way, these names, Midge, yes. That lady is just like has hair curlers in and is just like smoking like light cigarettes.
It was the late 50s, early 60s.
I know, just the names are so elderly now, which makes sense.
Yes. Post the 90s, she also had best friends, which include Summer Gordon, Nikki O'Neill Watkins, Raquel, and Grace. She also got some new sisters in the 1990s, starting with Stacy / originally introduced as Kelly in 1990. She was in the 1990 Wedding Day Midge gift set as a flower girl. This doll was renamed and introduced as Stacy shortly thereafter in 1992, and the Kelly name was instead used for a younger sister. Stacy is a 12-year-old and is shown to be competitive, skilled athlete, and she has her own line of sports-themed dolls called Team Stacy. We also have Kelly, who was introduced in 1995 as Barbie's younger sister, approximately 6 to 7 years old. Her name was changed into Chelsea in 2011, who loves the color pink. And she has a pet cat named Blissa. and loves strawberry shortcakes. That's her favorite birthday cake flavor, which is, I would argue, is not a birthday cake.
It's not a birthday cake.
Yeah. And then in 1999, infant Chrissy was introduced and is only intermediately included in the Barbie sibling lineup. Conspiracy theorists claim that this is actually Barbie's daughter, not sister.
People are mad because this one also has distinct breasts.
That would be a reason to be outraged. But with all that backstory out of the way, we can now shift our focus fully to Barbie in the 90s. We're going to go over some top 90s Barbies. Andrew, you're welcome to click the link to kind of follow along if you want, but I'm going to skip over a lot of them. And if you're listening and are interested in seeing some of them, I've linked an article in the comments below. But we're starting with Totally Hair Barbie from 1992. Very long hair. It has a multicolored dress and bows and ribbons. It's everything about the 90s dolls. Everything about this 90s Barbie doll is iconic. It wasn't just the most popular Barbie doll of the decade. It was the most popular Barbie ever, according to Mattel. Wow. This doll is famous for her extra long hair that reaches her toes. And it was a massively successful Barbie doll in the early 90s with over 10 million units sold.
Dang.
Yeah. You can now find some in the original packaging for upwards of $150, even though she's not that rare. Next up, we have My Size Barbie doll. I remember seeing the commercial for this, or maybe you saw it at Toys R Us. It's a life-size Barbie doll introduced in 1992. She's about 91 centimeters tall, which is only less than 3 feet. But for a kid, that's about your height when you're young. It's 3 feet. And it was around the same size as a child playing with them. So you could borrow Barbie's clothes, accessories, and makeup. Next up, we have Disney Fun Barbie, which is Barbie dressed up to go to Disneyland. They got the fanny pack. They have they're going to Disney parks. They have Mickey and Minnie Mouse themed accessories, like the classic Disney mouse ears, balloons, and Disney inspired outfits. And if you have one in original packaging, they could be worth around $400. We got Olympic gymnast Barbie. The 90s gymnast Barbie was created in honor she is in honor of the 1996 Atlanta Olympic Games. She has bendable knee joints, which most Barbies don't have or didn't have when we were kids. And she can do the splits both ways. Her waist joints bend so she can perform tricks like cartwheels and somersaults. And she comes with a magical tumbling ring, which was like I believe it was like a stick that you attach to Barbie.
She's anatomically impossible, and she could not be a gymnast at that, like with those dimensions and height.
Yes. Which we might get to later. They had a stick that you basically could do the acrobatics with. We have Bead Blast Barbie, which followed after the success of Totally Hair Barbie. They did Bead Blast Barbie, so you could style the hair with a bunch of beads. And you can also put in your human hair, right? Some beads even had letters about names and phrases. But there was also a pair of kitty tweezers to secure the double-sided beads to the hair. We have the McDonald's promotion Barbie. McDonald's Barbie toys in the 90s were one of the Happy Meal freebies, like Beanie Babies. They were collectibles. They were based off of actual Barbie dolls, including Costume Ball Barbie, Happy Birthday Barbie, Hawaiian Fun Barbie, and Wedding Day Midge, to name a few. When McDonald's would offer the Barbie toys in the Happy Meal, they would offer Hot Wheels to the boys. I think I got one or two Hot Wheel Happy Meal toys. We have Barbie All-Star Home Gym from 1990, which is a workout Barbie all about getting fit in her hot pink home gym. It has all the accessories. We have the running treadmill, which is that word, stationary bike, dumbbells, radio and a headset for Barbie to listen to. There's a ski track. It's a very 90s setup. We have Glitter Hair Barbie from 1993. Dressed in one of the most iconic 90s outfits ever, glitter hair Barbie doll came packed with this colorful glitter gel for styling both her hair and her owners. Sure, ultra, like they really went hard on the hair thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a Vera Wang Barbie from 1998.
Huh.
It's a wedding dress, I believe, and Vera Wang's a famous bridal designer. Okay.
Just the word Wang always going to make me laugh.
It's a unique white dress with black bows. And then finally, Kelly's Playland from 1998. Kelly Roberts made her debut in 1995, and she came in the 90s. She came with kitty-sized adventures for the toddler age doll to enjoy. So it was just like a full playground playset for Kelly to play on. I vaguely recall seeing this on commercials. But yeah. So while Barbie had a lot of fun during the decade, she wasn't the only one to get new friends or family. Skipper had her boyfriend introduced in 1990. Cool teen boyfriend Kevin. You could do better, Skipper. And then Skipper's first black friend in 1999 or 1997, whose name was Nikki. That's all they had. Stacy got some friends. Janet, her first Afro-American friend was in 1994. And she also got Whitney in 94, who's a redhead with glasses. And then Kelly got an F-ton since she was new, new. Ken's younger brother, Tommy, in 1997, Midge's sister, Melody, and Chrissy's sister, Deidre, as well as Lorena, Jenny, Chelsea, Kia, Marissa, Dallin, Camden, Maria, Tamika, Nia, Kayla, Liana, Desiree, and Belinda, and only like 3 of those names are spelled normally.
90s names, man.
And then finally, Barbie got into celebrity Barbies, which included the cast of 90210, MC Hammer, Gone with the Wind, Wizard of Oz, My Fair Lady. They had a lot of like classic movies. Maria from The Sound of Music, the 3 main girls from Clueless, the first ever Marilyn Monroe Barbie, an Elvis Barbie, and then we have celebrities Lucille Ball, Rosie O'Donnell, Brandy, Sinatra, Elizabeth Taylor, and Audrey Hepburn, as well as the Olsen twins had their own Barbies.
Wait, there was a Frank Sinatra Barbie?
There was a Frank Sinatra Barbie, Ken doll.
Oh.
Yeah.
So let's see. The Marilyn Monroe Barbie comes with a bottle of pills. Rosie O'Donnell comes with a koosh ball slingshot. And the Sinatra one comes with a glass of bourbon.
You know, I would bet that one of those things are true. And that would be the koosh ball, because I vaguely remember seeing that on her show.
Quite frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
It's the 2, or maybe it's just the actress from that one.
But you said The Sound of Music. I knew there was going to be a Nazi Barbie.
It was just Maria. That was the Barbie, but I feel where you're coming from. Alan and Midge's wedding is the final event in the decade. Midge came back in the late 80s and became like the cool friend again. And she married Alan in 1991 in their wedding day set, only to disappear again until the Happy Family series, which was quick to retire after absurd accusations of promoting teenage pregnancy, since she's like Barbie's best friend and Barbie was supposed to be teenage at that time, right? So Midge gets married, Midge gets knocked up, Midge has a child.
It's a toy.
But she, okay, true. But she was a teenager, had 3 kids, I think.
Literally anything goes. It's just a toy.
True, but this is, people were crazy.
They were.
I mean, honestly, it feels like we're crazier now, but still. They even had grandparent dolls at one point. And teen pregnancy is just the tip of the controversial iceberg. Stick around for all the juicy details after this week's Namely 90s Minute.
Juicy. And now let's go to Brandon for the Namely 90s Minute.
Welcome back to our mid-episode break, namely 90s Minute. Every week you look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week, in honor of the Haunted Mansion movie releasing at the end of the month, we're looking back at the first Disney park ride to be turned into a movie, Tower of Terror. Tower of Terror is a 1997 supernatural horror television film based on the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror ride first built in Walt Disney World Resort in Florida, but has no connection to any incarnation of the Twilight Zone. The film stars Cadet Carrie Mahoney from the Police Academy franchise, Mary Jane Watson from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, Nicole Chapman from the later seasons of Fame, the hypnotherapist from Office Space, Jan Levinson from The Office, and Isaac from Children of the Corn. The story begins with 3 men and a baby getting fired from his LA newspaper for printing a false article and ends up getting a job at a tabloid where his young niece helps him investigate tabloid stories. Eventually, he encounters an old lady who tells him about how on Halloween night in 1939, 5 guests at the Hollywood Tower Hotel mysteriously disappeared from an elevator when lightning struck the hotel. The 5 guests, a singer, an actor, a child star, her nanny, and the bellhop, are said to still haunt the hotel to this day, due to a misfired spell from the bitter witch of a nanny who was trying to cast a curse on the young child star. The old lady tells him that they must recreate the event that caused the ghosts to get lost to free them, and also return items belonging to them must be found. So he takes his niece to the hotel and meets the grandson of the bellhop, who helps them because he'll inherit the hotel if they manage to determine exactly what happened all those years ago. They meet a model inside who is hired to take spooky photos for the tabloid, but becomes distraught when Cocoon seems more interested in regaining his career over helping the ghosts. It is revealed that she was one of the 5 ghosts, and they all appear attempting to scare away the living. Jumanji accuses the nanny of cursing the other ghosts, but the ghosts all claim the nanny is innocent. Meanwhile, her uncle discovers that the old lady who gave him the tip was actually the sister of the child star and was jealous of her sister, and was the one who tried to curse her all those years ago because Halloween was her birthday and no one seemingly cared. He also realized that after collecting the personal effects of the ghost and repairing the elevator, the old lady could start the curse again, which she did. The ghosts get back on the elevator except Marie Antoinette gets on board and pushes the child star ghost off. As the elevator slowly rises to the top of the tower, the child star confronts her sister, explaining that they were throwing her a surprise party at the top of the hotel and apologized for making her think they didn't care, and gives her her birthday present. The old lady apologizes, and then together the sisters try and stop the elevator from dropping again and finishing the curse. They pull it off with everyone's help, and the ghosts finally reach their destination, heaven. And that's Tower of Terror in a namely 90s minute. More or less.
And now back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Before we dive into controversies, we're going to take a quick stop at the Barbie characters discontinued in the 90s. We mentioned before Tootie and Todd, the twin younger siblings of Barbie. Tootie was already discontinued in 71, but Todd was reintroduced in 1991 as a part of the wedding party for Midge. But Tootie was not reintroduced, as I just said, because new sisters Kelly and Stacy took her place. Anyway, Mattel produced several more of the new Todd dolls over the next few years and discontinued him by the end of the decade.
Wow.
I think 94 was his last big outing. And also Jazzy, the cousin, the one that was taller than the British one, discontinued in 1992. So let's talk controversies in the 90s. And of course, what better place to start than diversity?
No.
Because as I made a point of pointing out where each Barbie doll got their first African-American friend, the first African-American Barbie doll range is normally regarded as Christy, who we mentioned made her debut in 1968.
What do you mean normally regarded? What else would it have been if not her?
So I think they're trying to say that Christy was just Barbie, or I don't know if she had a unique face sculpt, but it was just Barbie with a different complexion.
I see.
Black Barbie was launched in 1980, but still held Caucasian features. And then in 1990, Mattel created a focus group with African-American children and parents, et cetera, et cetera. And they determined that they should, instead of using the same molds for Caucasian Barbies, new ones should be created. So additional facial features, skin tones, hair textures, and names were all altered, and the body shapes looked different, but proportions were the same to ensure clothing and accessories were interchangeable. The brand now currently offers over 22 skin tones, 94 hair colors, and 13 eye colors of 5 body types.
Problem is, you got to have people from those nationalities designing them, because if like white people, ethnicities. If white people design them, then they're just offensive stereotypes.
Yes. So clearly in the 90s it didn't go well, but it gets better. Also, while I was researching this, apparently there's Brooklyn Barbie, which launched sometime after the 90s, who has the exact same name as Barbie, but is black and grew up in Brooklyn. Oh,
I was thinking it was just going to be like a white Barbie, but she just like chews gum with her mouth open and spits.
Yes,
on the sidewalk.
The Jenny from the Block Barbie. But no, like they're like, oh yeah, Brooklyn's being gentrified. Let's just say there's a black version of Barbie that has the exact same name, so we don't have to worry about like interchanging names or features. It could just be the black version of Barbie. Anyway, continuing on the diversity train. The Oreo controversy. Mattel teamed up with Nabisco to launch a cross-promotional Barbie doll with Oreo cookies in 1997 and again in 2001. The 1997 release of the doll was only released in a white version, but for the 2001 release, Mattel manufactured both white and black versions of the doll. There was... the 2001 release Barbie Oreo School Time Fun was marketed as someone with whom young girls could play after class and share America's favorite cookie with. Critics argue that the African-American community, the term Oreo, if you're familiar with this, is a derogatory term, meaning that the person is black on the outside, white on the inside, like the chocolate sandwich cookie itself.
But fortunately, there's a much more modern word that's not offensive. Mulatto. No, I'm just kidding. That's also highly offensive.
And not the same ethnicities, right?
The thing I just read says one black and one white parent.
Oh, why did I think it was one Hispanic parent?
But that's Merriam-Webster, which is not known to be reputable.
They are white. The doll was unsuccessful, shockingly, and Mattel recalled the unsold stock, making it sought after by collectors.
And racist.
Yeah, it goes very well with your swastika memorabilia. The elevator controversy. In 1997, Mattel introduced Share a Smile Becky, who is a Barbie doll in a wheelchair, a pink wheelchair. And Kirsty Johnson, a 17-year-old high school student in Tacoma, Washington with cerebral palsy, pointed out that the doll would not fit into the elevator of Barbie's $100 dream house. Mattel announced that it would redesign the house in the future to accommodate the doll.
Wow.
Yep. There's a Nissan commercial. 2 commercials by automobile company Nissan featured dolls similar to Barbie and Ken, and it was the subject of another lawsuit in 1997. The first commercial, a female doll is lured into a car by a G.I. Joe looking doll to the dismay of a Ken doll, and it's accompanied by the song You Really Got Me by Van Halen. In the second commercial, the Barbie doll is saved by the G.I. Joe doll after she is accidentally knocked into the swimming pool by Ken, this time set to Kiss's Dr. Love. I remembered these commercials. The makers of the commercials said the dolls' names were Roxanne, Nick, and Tad. Mattel claimed that the commercial did irreparable damage to its products, but settled out of court. We have Teen Talk Barbie. The next controversy. In 1992, July of 92, Mattel released Teen Talk Barbie, which spoke a number of phrases, including, "Will we ever have enough clothes? I love shopping," and "Want to have a pizza party?" Each doll is programmed to say 4 out of 270 possible phrases, so that no 2 given dolls were likely to say the same thing, which the number of possible combinations is over 200 million. One of these 270 phrases was, math class is tough, which led to criticism from the American Association of University Women. About 1.5% of all the dolls sold said the phrase. So the doll was often misattributed to in the media as having said, "Math is hard."
She's not wrong.
But still, you could see how it's not exactly the STEM Barbies of today. In October 92, Mattel announced that Teen Talk Barbie would no longer say math class is tough and offered to swap anyone who owned the doll that did. Following that, the Barbie Liberation Organization. In 1993, there was a group of weirdos that secretly modified a group of Barbie dolls by implanting voice boxes from G.I. Joe dolls, then returning the Barbies to the toy store from where they were purchased. This organization was it was conceived from an effort to change the gender stereotypes of American culture. It would be half activists, half artists doing stunt stuff. And they became known because it was that same Teen Talk Barbie that they replaced the voice boxes from. So like in the 90s, there was this whole counterculture movement where, artists and activists were trying to conceive of new ways to rebel against the cultural stereotypes and powerful forms like network TV. So.
Wow, how annoying.
I mean,
glad I don't remember that.
It's a noble cause, but a dumb way to do it. So
let's just say they'd be wearing those V for Vendetta masks if it were
exactly
like a movie that was popularized at that time.
Yeah. So most sources suggest there's only like 300 to 500 toys that are hacked. But like a lot of media outlets took the story and much like today, twisted it into something crazy. There's other reports that up to 3,000 Barbies were changed across multiple countries. Some assert that there were only 12 toys that were actually switched and the rest were just cleverly arranged by the media hype and the artists that decided to do it. So no one actually knows how many Barbies were switched, but it couldn't have been that many. As Barbie became a symbol of conformity and gendered toys, it therefore became something to lampoon, rebel against, and make satire of. Yes, that's where it is. That's where it's at. So, specifically in The Simpsons, you may be familiar with the Malibu Stacy doll. Introduced in season 5, episode 14, Lisa versus Malibu Stacy. Lisa challenges the makers of Malibu Stacy to create a less sexist and pro-feminist doll. They won't listen, so she enlists the help of...
I remember this episode.
...of Smithers to find the original creator of Malibu Stacy. And they create the Lisa Lionheart doll in an effort to make positively influence young girls. Malibu Stacy was based off of the Teen Talk Barbie, the name off of obviously the Malibu Dreamhouse Barbie, but the satire lines were "Don't ask me, I'm just a girl," and is something that Malibu Stacy said. Let's see. The Lisa Lionheart doll was designed to be the most pro-feminist doll that they could have, but then the sales were disappointingly low, and then was thwarted by the release of Malibu Stacy with a new hat. Yeah.
No, that's satirical.
That's a good episode. And back to, I don't know if you said this during the episode, but Barbie Girl by Aqua was a song by the Danish-Norwegian dance pop group Aqua. It released in 1997 and is the third single from their debut album, Aquarium. The song was written by the band members, and after one of them saw an exhibit on Kish Culture in Denmark that featured Barbie dolls. The lyrics of the song are about Barbie and Ken, the dolls made by Mattel. Both the song and its music video feature the singers as Barbie and Ken, and the lyrics drew the ire of Barbie's corporate owners, and a lawsuit was filed by Mattel. A footnote on the back of the CD, CD is how music came to us in the 90s.
Yeah, the jewel case.
Yes, call it, right? The jewel case. So the footnote on the back of the album. The song Barbie Girl is a social comment and not created or approved by the makers of the doll. Barbie Girl is written,
I'm sorry, just like any group who writes a garbage song always like hides behind this social commentary crap. It's like, if no one can figure out what the F the social commentary is, it isn't one.
True. Okay. But it was catchy enough that it was the number one hit for 4 weeks in the UK and remains one of the best selling singles of all time. It topped the charts worldwide. It reached number 2 in their homeland and peaked at number 7 on the US Billboard Hot 100. It's and it became the subject of their lawsuit, Mattel Inc. versus MCA Records Inc. 6 months after the release of the song, Mattel sued them, their North American record label. They claimed that Barbie Girl violated their trademark and turned her into a sex object, referring to her as a blonde bimbo. It alleged that the song infringed on its copyrights and trademarks on the Barbie doll, and that the song's lyrics had ruined the longtime popularity and reputation of their trademark and impinged on their marketing plan. Aqua and MCA Records claimed that Mattel injected their own meanings into the song lyrics, and they contested Mattel's claim and countersued for defamation after Mattel had likened MCA to a bank robber.
Jeez.
The lawsuit filed by Mattel was dismissed by the lower courts, but they kept trying to take it all the way up to the Supreme Court, but that appeal was later rejected. In 2002, the Court of Appeals ruled the song was protected as parody under the trademark doctrine of nominative use. Yes, what he said. And the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. The judge, Alex Kozinski, also threw out the defamation lawsuit.
Cousin of Ted. No, just kidding.
Yes. Filed against Mattel because his court ruling was thus, the parties are advised to chill.
We need more of this guy.
Yeah. Why is he not on the Supreme?
Alex,
Yeah. Why are they not on the Supreme Court? So,
every time someone says Supreme Court, I think of a court with sour cream on it. I can't. Thank you, Taco Bell.
Thank you, Taco Bell. Yeah. So, coming to the end of the 90s, Barbie got a lot of flack during the 90s, as we saw. So, they decided they should listen. They should listen. The sales were somewhat declining, although they introduced a lot of new stuff that distracted people from what was really going on. But yes, from the start, people have complained that Barbie is the blonde plastic doll, conveyed unrealistic body images to girls, even going so far as to say that girls who attempt to emulate her will become anorexic. She promotes unrealistic ideas of body image for young women. I think we mentioned this earlier in the episode. Her chest is like, people after measuring a Barbie doll said her vital stats as a normal human with a given height of 5 feet 9 inches should have a 36-inch chest, 18-inch waist, and 33-inch hips. That's crazy.
Yeah, where organs live.
Exactly. Mattel always claimed that the waist of the Barbie doll was made small because the waistbands of her clothes, along with their seams, snaps, and zippers, what have you, added bulk to her figure. But also, like in the 1963 Barbie Babysits set, it came with a book titled How to Lose Weight, which advised don't eat.
Well, when they created it, they weren't really like thinking about proportions. They just like made it look like they wanted to look like. That's really what happened.
True.
It wasn't like, we're going to make this unrealistic. They were just like, that looks about
it's
right.
A doll. Yeah.
It's the 50s. Who cares? Let's have another cigarette.
That's a woman. Also, according to University Central Hospital in Helsinki, Finland, she would lack the 17 to 22% body fat required for a woman to menstruate.
All right.
But also, so the How to Lose Weight was also included in 1965 set Slumber Party, along with a pink bathroom scale permanently set at 110 pounds, which would be underweight for a woman 5'9". Mattel said the waist of the Barbie. I already said that. In 1997, Barbie's body mold was redesigned and given a wider waist, with Mattel saying that this would make the doll better suited to contemporary fashion designs. Those big jeans in the 90s. Finally,
Junko jeans or whatever.
Yes. Moving back to the modern day, like we already said, we had the Barbie movie come out over the weekend, which we haven't seen yet because we recorded this before it came out. Starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. Something about the atomic bomb, but it looks like a romp for literally everyone but the target market of Barbies, which is children. I was just with my niece last week, and she was watching the trailer on TV, and she's like, "I want to see that," and then like it pops up and it says PG-13, and her mom's like, "Yeah, you're probably not going to see that." It's just like, who's this movie for?
I don't really think it's made for kids.
I don't think it's made for kids, but Barbie is made for kids. So
yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
It's all I'm saying is, who is this made for?
I imagine Barbie is really not doing as well as they used to be, like as far as popularity.
So they're just going for jaded millennials.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's our deep dive on Barbie in the 90s. Any more to say?
What a stupid toy.
It's a doll. It's the iconic doll that you think of when you think of a doll these days, right? Or what do you think of, an American Girl doll?
I don't know, but like, it's weird that we glorified this trashy toy so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's cheap. It's plastic. It's fantastic.
Classic.
Yeah.
I don't know. You gonna go see it?
I keep wavering back and forth because like the first trailer looked good. Second trailer, it made me think, oh, this is basically the Lego movie except more raunchy. And then I was coming back around on it because everyone's like hyping it. And then like after doing this deep dive research, I'm like, there's too much Barbie lore, and I know they're just going to trample all over it. But now I'm like, I'm in the lore, the Barbie
There
lore.
was something they asked, is it Cillian Murphy? Is that how you say his name?
Yes. Cillian Murphy.
Because he plays Oppenheimer.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked him like something about which movie to see, and he was like, go see them both on the same day. I'm like, that's 5 hours of movie. And also, there's no order you can watch them in that makes it better.
I would bet Oppenheimer followed by Barbie.
Yeah, probably.
Because I feel like if you watch Barbie going into Oppenheimer, you're just like, you're going to be...
if you watch Barbie first, you're going to try to walk into the blast in the IMAX theater to end it.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly my point. So you're seeing both then?
We'll see.
All right. Well, that's it for this week's deep dive edition of Namely 90s. Sorry it is over an hour long. Remember, you can find new episodes out every Monday. Join us next week for another variety show episode. Find us on Instagram and Threads at Namely90s with 90s, and tell us what you want us to talk about on future episodes, future deep dive episodes. If you'd like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Namely90s, also with a 90s. Finally, you can find us through our website, namely90s.com. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Audible, Malibu, Dreamhouse, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeart, Good Pods, and wherever you get podcasts from. I'm Brandon. That's Andrew, and we'll catch you, Barbie. Come on, Bobby. Let's go, Bobby.